What's up, Rockstars? Today, I'm going to tell you about how Kickstarter is dead and dying, and yet I have a new favorite game developer. There is a white knight in shining armor that we can take a look at, and I want to talk about it right now. So I'm going to set the stage a little bit with an update. You see, this is an example of some things that go on, and it's also an update directly to what you guys have asked about. If you didn't know, you can reach out to me via email or a personal message or the comments down below, and of course I will take a look at things. This channel is for you guys, and I definitely run it based off of what I think can help you guys. You guys asked about Elf Creek Games, for instance, and I wanted to give a quick update on that. You guys were concerned about the lack of communication, worrying about some financial issues and some things like that, and I wanted to do a quick update. There's actually been an update as of April 7th, but that is actually a few days after we had a conversation. I actually emailed him out some questions. I'm going to tell you what was the answer. This was to Brent himself, actually, I had chatted with, and a very cordial guy. I asked a few things, actually, stuff like, is he working for Elf Creek Games full time? What is the struggle with communication? Why did you need to make a new account and cancel the pledge of the old community manager? I'll talk about that a little bit. Are there financial issues, and if so, what are they, and do you have a plan to move forward with them, and anything else you'd like to add? Those are the questions I put out there, along with the, hey, look, I don't have like an overly negative view on this. I'm going to be doing the video anyway, but I'd love to hear from you so that I can hear what you have to say, and you can kind of get that on record. And he actually responded, not with all of the answers, but a few. Didn't answer anything about the community page. They had a community person that was talking, and then all of a sudden, all their responses were like canceled. The pledge was canceled, yet they made a new account and then started responding through there. No clue why they did that. That seems like a very, very bad idea to do, but they did that. But there's a lot of bad decisions involved here, and we're going to be talking about that with the next company I want to be discussing. Financially, they're okay. They were able to weather all the storms. Everybody's going to get their games. They're just really crappy at communicating, it seems. So I don't know what the issue is there. I didn't push on it any more than that, because then I saw a few days later, before I filmed this, that they updated with an April fulfillment date, at least for Atlantis Rising. So my understanding is they're doing okay. You guys are all right. You just have to put up with some really crappy communication from Elf Creek Games. They're not great at putting a lot of stuff in there. They weren't great at responding to my emails either. It just definitely doesn't seem to be their strong suit. All right, now before we go further, a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, GameWork Create. They are a channel partner and they do fantastic work. You can get your RPG stuff, you can get your board game stuff, you can get your miniature stuff, all there, all at a great price with some great bonuses too. For instance, they're doing free shipping on everything over 55, and I must say, really impressed by this. This stuff is huge, and look at that, benefits mental health charity. Love it. $25 gets you an amazingly detailed bust. If you didn't know, they do some fantastic 3D printing, the best I've ever seen. And of course, they have great sales too. For instance, $200 for Masters of the Universe, the actual Kickstarter pledge. Super awesome. Again, a lot of RPG stuff. Feel free to check them out. Guys, I will be doing a giveaway of this, so let me know of something you would want to win from them in the comments below. Right now, I'll be counting that, and I'll be letting them know exactly what you guys want. We'll do a giveaway for you guys, give you guys something awesome. Maybe it's Zombicide, maybe it's some cool minis, maybe it's some RPG stuff. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. Thank you to GameWork Create. Feel free to check them out. They are obviously linked in the description below. And now let's get to the video. Okay, now moving on from that, as an example of just like some of the issues we can see on this community site and how this crowdfunding is just really, really struggling. I've covered, I don't know how many videos I've talked to you guys about how companies are doing terrible, they're dead, they're dying, they're dead again, they're coming back from the dead. Like, seriously, it is bad times out there. And I think it's a lot of reasons. I think Naylor Games thinks a lot of reasons. Let's go ahead and talk about it. This is Subterra 2. I've shown it a few times from Inside the Box. If you didn't know, Inside the Box Games has been liquidated. It's done. It's dead. Okay, another gone company. You will never see something from Inside the Box board games again. Okay, however, Naylor Games has bought the IPs and assets to their games, not the business, not the debts, nothing like that. Just the the actual products themselves, right? Which is great because I know Subterra was beloved by a lot, and they had a lot of other cool things like Alba going on. I've looked into that recently. We'll talk into that. I'm gonna just walk through the highlights. Okay, so I've highlighted some things. I've walked through it, but I think Naylor Games is probably my favorite game developer right now, bar none. Like right now, they are at the very top, and it's somebody you need to pay attention to because it looks like they believe in quality, and it looks like they believe in actually giving you the freaking product you bought. Could we ask for more? Apparently not. Apparently that is, we're just happy to get our stuff at this point. Right? Communication, whatever. Just send me the game. If you can do that, you're better than I have to expect. So, the bar is set low. However, I think they are going to set it pretty high. And I'm really glad to see this. Let's go and talk through this. So, as an FYI, there are no employees transferring over. I know there was some debate on whether or not that would be possible. Not the case, though. They are just buying the assets, and that's it. Otherwise, it's nobody's transferring over. They are very much not inside the box games, and nobody is. It's not just inside the box under a different name now. Okay, we'll talk about the blog post in a little bit here. Now, they start out with an apology. It says, "First things first, although we weren't involved in the failure of this Kickstarter project, I still want to say sorry to you." Well, that's darn impressive, considering, again, Naylor Games did nothing wrong, but they're just sorry about the whole situation. And in fact, they said here, when things like this happen, it reflects badly on the industry as a whole and makes people more distrustful of Kickstarter in general. That is so true. And I've talked about this. A lot of people, I remember when Mythic Games was is struggling. But when they first started talking about how much they're struggling, they had people being like, I hope they just die. Like, I hope that just go, right? You did a bad job. You were bad at running your business, and you shouldn't be a business anymore. Conceptually, I get it. But what that effect would do when tens of thousands of people now suddenly do not have a board game that they bought from Kickstarter, it would be unprecedented, the effect that would have on crowdfunding and board games across every website. Like, permanently. Like, that would be massive. So I hope and pray that Mythic Games at least survives to send us our games. Because, seriously, that level of impact, that huge, right? We're lucky when it is something like Inside the Box board games where it's only 3,508. Not 30,000, not 40,000 plus people on just one. It's insane the amount of people waiting for a board game from Mythic Games. So seriously, it affects the whole industry, and I want the industry to be healthy. And I don't want companies to be failing, even bad ones. I want them to be better, not fail. But you can't. Life is life, right? It is what it is. Okay, so we're going to talk about Forever Games, stuff like that too, in a little bit. So, what is their plan? Well, in the case of this, so if you back Subterra for one of those 4,000-ish, probably with the PM and stuff like that, I'm very happy to confirm that there is enough stock of most items that have been manufactured to fulfill the project. So they didn't fulfill all the stuff. There's some detail there, but seriously, it's there. However, and it's very important that they set some realistic expectations for you. All of the money that was previously raised through a pledge manager by Inside the Box to ship your games to you was consumed by the defunct business. All of those funds were ultimately burned up in the final years of the company and used to service other debts. So the money's gone. It's gone. There's nothing. What the liquidation process is, especially in the UK, is essentially Inside the Box is already pretty much no more, but they don't have access to anything. Instead, liquidators do, and they auction off stuff to the highest bidder, trying to get as much money as possible for their stuff to pay off debtors. Now it goes staff, right? So anybody who worked for them that didn't get paid, and then the government. And typically it stops there. There's a whole list of others, different companies that are owed stuff and all sorts of stuff. Backers, in fact, aren't even really considered legally debt in the UK right now. So according to their Naylor Games and their explanation of it. So yeah, this is not it's not going to be enough, but that's the idea is they sell it to the highest bidder, in this case, Naylor Games. So let's go on and keep talking about that. Okay, so they have a whole lot of stuff that they can do. And by the way, there is an email address I'll be sharing here in a moment. But if we scroll over to Alba, this is the other one, and then I'll go over to the Naylor Games website. So Alba actually has had 2 updates now, and this one is pretty cool. It's talking about, hey, this is just a whole lot of stuff going on. This is how liquidation works, right? It's very easy for a business to get themselves into unpayable debts through mismanagement, poor decision making, and sometimes just bad luck. Honestly, normally it's all 3. In my opinion, normally it's all 3. You have some mismanagement. A lot of that mismanagement is because you have poor decision making. And then, of course, all that leads to some bad luck. Luck is, when you're counting as luck as like a business, like bad luck is in, oh, something costs more or whatever, right? You normally have like a plan for a buffer financially and a buffer through time. And that bad luck consumes that. But when you've already done all the mismanagement, you've already done all the bad decisions, that bad luck hits you and you can't recover. That's the difference, right? When I was talking about this, they had some bad luck with their shipping, with the increased prices, all that stuff, right? Like everybody else. But that bad luck hit them really hard, right? But they were able to weather the storm. Not everybody was. The people that were doing worse decisions, the people that were running a worse company, obviously got hit harder. So definitely, I think it's all 3 of those typically, and it's bad. However, and this is important, but when people are caught up in the dream of making their board games, right? Such discipline is very easy to forget. I think it's not always that. I think some people are just bad at running a business. It's not hard, or it's not easy. It's very hard. In fact, they say as much. So it's not always that. I think even legitimate people that aren't like caught up in it just might not be that great at it. Such discipline is very easy to forget. Through no malice, and I would agree with this. I don't think anybody's trying to go bankrupt here. And nothing I have seen at ITB suggests deliberate malice of any kind. I believe it. The situation can quickly deteriorate into an inescapable spiral. Now, the spiral is kind of where Mythic Games is right now, where they're trying just to like get out of it, right? And you're either spiraling down or you're getting out of it. Hopefully they're spiraling up a little bit, but we'll see. But that's the kind of the thing. But I really wanted to point out the no deliberate malice. Like, I don't think anybody is maliciously trying to screw over backers. That doesn't make any sense. There's not a lot of those kind of Ponzi schemes, or the kind of schemes that are like purposeful, I guess I should say. And it'll just end up being that way. But the purposeful, like, I just want to get some money from people and not deliver anything, they don't tend to be the big ones, because they're not going to put that much effort into the Kickstarter either, and they're just not going to raise that much. They're certainly not going to deliver Subterra 1 and then make Subterra 2. You know, like, you would bail out on the Subterra 1, right, if that was the goal. So definitely important here. Now, some green here. While I believe we deserve to be rewarded for the risk we have taken and the substantial work we have done, I also don't want to profiteer from disappointment. I would prefer to push the final karmic balance of these projects towards good and rebuild some faith in crowdfunding. So obviously, Naylor Games paid money for this stock, paid money for this product, and is now saying, hey, pay us the shipping and you get it. Hey, we have the digital things. If you bought it, boom, it's there. You can have the digital stuff. All of that is like not getting back the money they spent on this. They're playing the long game. We'll talk about their vision soon. But really what they're saying is, look, we could just try to make a quick buck off this, sell it to retail, and be done with it, make some profit, and then still use the IP if we wanted to. But they're not doing that. Instead, they're buying it and saying, whatever's made is yours. Pay the shipping, you can have it, or donate it. Otherwise, we're going to do what we can. And I think that's just incredible. It really is. And it shows their passion for the industry at large, which is their future, of course, if they want to keep doing stuff like this. They've done one other Kickstarter that I've seen, by the way. It's kind of a small time one. So I don't know if Kickstarter is like what they're wanting, or if they're wanting to do retail stuff or what. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, just really awesome of them to do that. And totally, they deserve that. And I think they will. In the long run, they will. Because they'll get winners over like me, who just really like what they're seeing when it comes to their actions and their words. And when those two match, that's pretty good. So that's great to see. ITB@NaylorGames.com. That's where you're going to want to send any inquiries to. That'll let them know that, hey, this is about this. And it'll get kind of prioritized accordingly. So that's really important. Take a look at Naylor Games. Okay, so this is their blog post. And here they talk about that. Generally, staff owed wages are among the first to be paid. We hope that our purchase allows at least this to happen. That'd be super cool. Not for sure it's going to, but super cool that it's there. Furthermore, in the ultra-competitive environment of tabletop games today, we have a responsibility to maintain disciplined cost control for the sustainability of the business over the long term. This is something we take very seriously at Naylor Games, and it's my personal opinion that, speaking frankly, a substantial chunk of the industry has been operating an unsustainable model. We have seen rapid growth, too good to be true pricing on products and shipping, and impressive sounding headline revenue figures frequently put above sound principles. As a result, businesses have crashed, and suppliers, customers, employers, and fans have been the ones getting burned and effectively footing the bill that was always going to come. This is something straight out of my mouth. I don't know if this Naylor guy has ever watched any of my videos, but we align so strongly here. People are so focused on that total number raised, on making that 5 million plus kind of money. They want that number to go up, but that is not profit. That is revenue. And those are very, very different things. Recently, patrons and I were talking about Dragori games with Tenaris and Arena and all that. And one of the issues they've come across is just the sheer amount of SKUs they have. You see, when you make a whole bunch of stuff and you run a whole bunch of campaigns for people to buy, they can buy a whole bunch of stuff, which pumps that total number raised up. However, all those SKUs cost so much, not just in like the picking and the packing and the shipping and the logistics and all that, but even in like customer support and dealing with this and dealing with that and wrong shipments and all that. The cost of having so many SKUs is almost uncountable. And like, what did that SKU actually cost us, right? Not only just to make, not only whatever the profit was on that SKU, but adding that SKU to the pile of other SKUs and then making that the thing we have to deliver. It's an extraordinarily large thing. And it's something that I think, hopefully, they've learned their lesson on going forward and will reduce. Smaller scope, fewer SKUs. It is amazing the cost that those SKUs can add. But again, you want to sell more, right? You look at some of these. You look at like Joan of Arc and stuff like that, or you can buy like 80 different things on it. Like that's the issue there, right? That's one of the big issues. You can just keep making stuff for people to buy, but it's not sound business, right? You're putting headline revenue figures frequently above sound principles. You're not being smart about it. You're just trying to get a bigger number. But that bigger number is going to end up costing you. And it turns out that the bill was always going to come anyway. So love that. So well worded. Much more well spoken than I am. That's for sure. Okay. Now there is no audible stock at all, by the way. I mentioned that. So it's just digital right now. And that's probably how it's going to be. And as always, go to the ITB at naylorgames.com if you have any questions there. Let's go and talk about this last bit here. Forever Games. Now, this is a big, long story. He talks about, hey, guess what? This like the ones that stay are the ones you play all the time. For instance, for me, it's Conan. My wife and I love Conan. We play Conan all the time. It is something that I can just play. I don't need to look up the rule book or anything like that. I can easily play it. It stays. And regardless of all of the plastic, this is what number 2 is, right? We must make and move fewer things. It's not talking about the materials. It's talking about the amount of times that you play it. In other words, it doesn't matter if your game has a very little bit, if it's not a game that stays. If it's one of those games that just sits on a shelf or is sold off or whatever, then it wasn't as environmentally sound as making a game that's bigger but is played constantly, right? So even though Conan has a whole bunch of stuff, it is better environmentally than a lot of these games here that I haven't. And that just kind of makes sense. But I love how he's looking at it not just at face value. I really appreciate how nuanced of a take that is. Really, really do. It shows that there's actually been some thought put into it. This is what won me over, guys. This is it. All that other stuff, great. That's fine. This is why Naylor Games, or at least it signifies why Naylor Games is one of my favorite right now and why I think you guys could trust them a lot. I noticed a few things here. For instance, Agile, Waterfall, Continuously improve. If those sound familiar to you, you're probably in some kind of development job. Perhaps even software is a very common one there, but a lot of manufacturing does this too. So I'll explain this a little bit for anybody who is unaware. A waterfall project is kind of a traditional way of doing it back in the day. Or for very specific things that are very well known. A waterfall project is top to bottom. I have planned everything out and everything is exact. And then you still have some buffer or whatever, right? But you know every single step and it's pre-planned out. Agile, on the other hand, talks about regular releases. Often you'll hear a sprint cycle or like a typical 2-week cycle where you work on something and then you deliver it, and you work on something, you deliver it, and then that delivery goes to the continuously improvement where you show it off and you're like, I don't know if that works. Oh, you know what? That's kind of cool. Maybe we'll do this. And it's this creative process. So what they're saying is we do both. We do the agile to kind of get things going and figure things out, and then we do the waterfall once we got all of our ducks in a row. It's go time to actually make this thing. The fact that they know the terms, the fact that they kind of know what they're talking about, shows that this is actually somebody who can run a business. I have talked constantly. You guys get tired of me talking about this, but I want charts. I want burn ups and burn downs. I want Gantt charts. I want like show me your progress. I want to open Trello board. Put your Kanban publicly. Let me see what you're working on. Wouldn't that be exciting to actually track what they're working on and see what they're doing? Not some hokey image you can't even zoom in that barely means anything. It just shows like development 99%. What the heck does that mean? If you have 10 more items, 10 more tasks, show me what those are. Where are they on the list, right? Are they going left? Are they going right? What's your throughput? What's your volume? What is your velocity? What is going on with you? There are so many metrics to track progress of a creative thing that, think about the massive industries about creating stuff. And you'd be kidding yourself if you don't think there's ways to track that. There's ways to communicate how far you are on something, where you plan to be, whether you're on target or not. All of that is easily shared. Now, do they have to share all of their business stuff? No. But I at least want to know that they have that, even if they're not showing it. So if you don't show me your burn up or burn down, that's fine. You want me to know your velocity? That's fine. But I believe that they have that. I believe that Naylor Games understands how to track and progress through complex creative processes. I'm sold. They got a good heart. They got their heads screwed on straight. They know what the heck they're doing, and they're trying to do the right thing. Naylor Games, you have won my heart over. I am a huge fan, and I will definitely want to talk more in the future with you guys. Guys, look, not everything's bad. Okay, it's all doom and gloom half the time, but there are companies like Naylor Games, perhaps not ones as visible as them right now, perhaps not ones that put a blog where I can read that they know what they're talking about. They just do, right? And that's great, and that's awesome. But I really wanted to put a point on this because I really wanted to show that there are smart companies out there just making quality products, making sound business decisions, and just trying to do the best they can in this space to deliver awesome games that you love. Right, that's that first one here, and I like that. That's the number one. That's the top. We just want to make games that you love, and we want to do it responsibly. It's pretty much the other two, and I think that's awesome. So anyway, if you have another example of another great story like this, or you have a concern, or you have a thought on this, I would love to hear them down in the comments below. Please let me know. I'll be sure to read up and respond to those. I will be on vacation after Tuesday for the rest of this week. For my anniversary with my wife. Thank you very much. But there's some cool videos coming out like this. You guys will see what this is all about here very shortly as well. So stay tuned for that. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you guys again real soon. Bye, guys.